Hey, welcome back to Let's Chat. Today I'm here with Maddie LaCroix to talk about her campaign priorities.
Hey, so it's Maddie LaCroix, as I was just introduced, and I'm running for junior class president.
So Maddie, like all campaigns, I'm sure you have a list of things you're trying to change. What's one of the first ones you can list?
Probably the most cliche and basic one, which is raising class spirit.
So that's like a really broad term. So what do you mean specifically by that?
I think that this year, the battle between classes or just class rivalry or having pride within your graduating class has just been so much lower. And I think that everybody has stopped caring about school or wanting to attend events. So I'd like to raise the attendance and like just the way that the campus feels.
So a lot of that is based off of our sports teams have really fell off this year, and of course there's some that really did take us home and gave us pride, but how are you going to change that? Do you think that like having this extra spirit is going to change our extracurriculars?
I definitely think so. I think that if we're not supporting our teams in our school or our campus, and the teams that are fighting also stop caring. So just a decrease in class spirit decreases almost everything that goes on around campus.
So within that, like I just said, we kind of give a lot of praise to our sportsmen and our sportswomen. Do you feel like there's anything lacking with other praises within the community?
Definitely think so. Like I'm in orchestra and I started art club and just I try my hardest to advocate for things that aren't shown as well on campus. I know our band is phenomenal. I might be biased when I say that our orchestra is phenomenal, but just having more events and all of these programs so everyone can really see what we have. Like I'm in Key Club and almost nobody knows what that is. These things were to be brought to light. I think there'd be more communication and better wellness around our campus.
So I get what you mean, like you're trying to, like you said, shed more light onto the things that are kind of pushed behind the curtain. And it's been proposed in the past, and it's always come back to funding. So what are some of your solutions for that overall?
So if there aren't enough fundraisers, and in order to make fundraisers work, they have to have school spirit in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that you have to start from nothing and build your way up, because nobody's going to want to invest into something that they don't care about because they don't have the school spirit already. But just by having more activity going around on campus, like more events, if we were to charge for tickets or charge for concessions, like I think that small could just benefit so much.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. So just to kind of recap on that, so you're just trying to raise school spirit and raise like the involvement of all students and just trying to bring every like academy and every club into light. Am I correct?
Yes, Cambridge Academy and every course is going to have its own little like collective group that is together, but even with that, forcing kids to be together doesn't necessarily make them want to, and that's what I want to do.
Okay, awesome. So let's keep going. Do you have a next subject for what you're trying to fix?
Our campus is very trashy. I think that like any other school that I've ever been to has not had this of trash unless their janitors are just wizards and can make it all go away so fast. And I really want to have people understand how bad our environment is and why it's so important to not leave trash behind, even if it's just on campus.
I definitely get that. We're one of the newest and biggest schools, and walking around campus is absolutely disgusting. And I could be biased because I was raised in a very clean area, and like, I don't know, I just am not used to that much garbage, but it's very bad, yeah.
And I feel so bad for our poor janitors. I get that it's their job to clean the school, but I don't think it's their job to save the environment of our school.
Yeah, can you elaborate on how that's affecting our environment a little bit?
The amount of plastics we use goes into our oceans beyond so much every year. And the whole Skip the Straw movement is amazing, but as a school campus, we can't really do that. But even in the morning, we don't need the plastic container to hold whatever is there. Global warming is going so up, even if some people say it doesn't exist. It definitely does. The amount of CO2 we are releasing into our atmosphere is just damaging. Just starting small is bigger than doing nothing.
And right before we did this, you said something really like special to me that really stuck with me, and you said that some people say that, oh, well, me doing something different isn't gonna fix the world, but if everybody does one small thing different, it will fix the world. And I just think that's like a really good perspective on it, because it makes everybody feel as an individual that they're changing something. On that topic, though, we have a large community of children here who weren't raised under the same skills that other people were raised under, and they believe that it's not their job to clean up after themselves, because there's people here that get paid to do that.
Oh yeah, of course. Why would you put in effort when other people can do it for you?
Yeah. How do you plan to change that mentality of people? Because
I don't think that it's necessarily a goal to change people's mentality. It's just more my goal to inform them. So I would love to talk to Miss Cherry and Earth and Surf, just having a lecture every year in the auditorium where every class has to listen to the effects of our environment. At least 1, 2, or 3 people in that room implement these ways into their lives, which they wouldn't have done before. And like I said, 3 people is much bigger than 0.
Yeah.
There's a greater chance of something changing.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective, and it really, I think I've known these bits of information, but you're really like putting it together in a way for as like an almost adult, I can look at it and be like, okay, my home is dying, what can I do?
Yeah.
I know we talked about this a little bit and we touched on it, but like we said on that mentality, how are you gonna like incorporate that into your like life skills mission that you've briefly touched on?
So my life skills mission is during lunch being able to offer education on procrastination or relationship skills or consent or whatever. Having each teacher set aside time so the things that we need for personal skills in life that aren't necessarily taught in high school can be talked about if students want to hear it. And that goes right with the whole education about our environment. Like, you won't be able to fix it if you don't know how and you don't know its present state.
So just to kind of touch on it in case our audience doesn't fully understand, so your life skills mission is to make, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, to make a course for right now throughout lunch times that's just giving lessons on things that are talked about but never taught about. Am I correct?
Yes.
And so, like you said, it's really hard to make that into a class, but have you spoken to any teachers that would really have your back on that and say, yes, I would donate my time for this?
Yes, I've spoken to Mr. McKenzie, and his wife has also said that she would love to join. He emailed a few of the teachers that he's close with who he has heard like spoke about or just like complain, say, hey, I wish we talked about this more. I wish I was able to talk about this. So I have a few teachers under my belt that would definitely sign up. Okay,
that's awesome. It sounds like you really do have the support for this, and if your campaign goes well, I do think this is something you'll be able to kickstart. So let's move on to your final but not least important topic that you're going to prioritize during your campaign. Would you like to intro that?
Yeah, so I hear all the time a lot of people self-diagnosing themselves with mental illnesses, or people who could have these mental illnesses and they don't know and they don't take action to like help themselves. So I want to make mental health a bigger priority on this campus. I think another reason why school spirit has been decreasing is because we don't have as much like trust in ourselves to advance, to be better. And as far as counselors go, I love my counselor. However, if I were to go to her crying about something, I don't know what she would do. I don't know if she could help with anything. I don't know if any counselor really could, because their job is to get you out of high school and graduate. It's not their job to be a mental counselor. And we have a grief counselor on this campus. I only know of him. I've never heard his name, but I know that he exists, and I know that nobody knows that we even have one. And if you are upset and you are having a hard time, then why would you go to a person who you hardly know and never heard of in your life? Like, that doesn't sound like something that anyone would think of doing.
Yeah, when you spoke to me prior to this and we kind of talked about our topic and you told me about our grief counselor, obviously I was shocked. We have a grief counselor.
Yeah.
And so I did some research on that, and it's actually one grief counselor for the entire county, and on like traumatic days, so like in Deltona where they've had really bad tragedies this year, that grief counselor goes there along with others that they hire for the situation. And so it's not just a singular grief counselor that we are like given. It's like he drifts. He's not here on a day-to-day basis.
So what if you had a very, very bad panic attack or something happened with your family and you don't know who to go to? There's someone who's not here on campus.
Yeah.
And unless you establish relationships with your teachers, you're not going to have anyone besides the people who you know in your family. Or like that goes back to the whole increasing like class spirit, because if you see that your teachers and they will be there for you, then you will most likely see that you can go to them for these problems as well.
Yeah, and it provides a safe space. And like touching back on how you said like going to your guidance counselor and speaking to them other than educational wise, and like without calling out any of my guidance counselors, I have never had a guidance counselor in high school at least that's really been emotionally like there for me and open. And I just feel like I agree with you on that part, because I don't think any of the guidance counselors actually have time to speak to you on that. Like you said, they're really focused on getting you out of high school.
Yeah, they do a phenomenal job at that.
And they do. The majority of them do a great job. And I think it's something the school is even aware of, that that's their main priority. When as a guidance counselor, they should be genuinely worried about the mental health of all students. And like, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but it's just the entire mental health of the entire world is decreasing along with our population, along with our...
From 1998 to 2016, I think every single state had a 30% increase in suicide rates, or suicide attempt rates. That's a huge percentage, and it's more common in high schoolers than other people, because we haven't been taught in the education system how to deal with these emotions and feelings.
Yeah, and I have a question, and it's going to tie back into your life skills course. If, like you mentioned, a lot of people go undiagnosed or self-diagnosed, which is a lot of times more dangerous than not being diagnosed in itself. And are you planning on teaching anything or having someone teach anything relative to mental health in these life skills courses?
Yes, I think even if it's as small as dealing with stress or dealing with procrastination, those things have an emotional effect on you. And like relationship struggles, family struggles, these things need to be talked about, because they happen no matter who you are. It will always be there. And I'd love for a counselor to take one day and just sit down and talk about it, because they do have that degree. Or a psychology teacher sit down and say, hey, like, this is what this means. It can mean different things for others, but here are the science, and here's why it's important to have this discussion. So I love the people who have been through these things teach people about mental health in general.
So Maddie, I think this conversation has really gone a long way, and I'm just going to recap for our audience really quick your four main priorities, and then we'll say our final words and close out. So again, to my audience, Maddie LaCroix is running for junior class president, and her main targets right now, she wishes to raise class spirits with having more involvement throughout the school and planning more things and actually putting this time and effort into making these things feel personalized. She continues to want to decrease trash on campus. From my opinion, I think she really does have a good plan going. She has a well knowledge about the impacts of garbage on campus, on the community, and she just wants to see a better change in it. She wants to have a life skills mission where she teaches people the common knowledge of life and just how to be okay on your own, and how to know how to do simple things that are talked about but never taught about. And finally, she really wants to have just an open, safe space for mental health and how to handle it and where to go when you need it. So, Maddie, I really do hope you the best on your campaign.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you in a high place next year. So thank you for your time.